actually do all the things that, a father would do. So I respected him, and I thought, well, I've met someone who would actually take care of my child. So finally, I got married to him. And the first time that what happened is, now I realized it when I'm out of this situation. I now realize how dishonest he was. In the first place, when we met, and with our culture, the parents say you have to go and see where you are going. So yes, we agreed that he was going to take me to his home so that I could see where he came from, because my parents were not very sure. Mostly they tried to get me married to people who they knew, but it didn't work. So finally, when I met this man, I thought, well, this was my choice. So, well, they couldn't say no to it because it was my choice this time. So definitely I went through it. And he didn't take me to his home. He took me to his uncle's home where his mother originated from. There I went, and I was introduced to this family who they really accepted me. They really liked me, and they all said, "Oh, wow, oh yes, Kotebe, he brought his beautiful wife, his beautiful girlfriend to show us." They didn't know my background, but if he told them that I had a child, well, they could have accepted me, in fact. But when he spoke to his other side, his father's side at home, they knew I had my baby. I had a baby son. And they knew that he was marrying someone who was divorced. He was married before, and I was a divorcee. So they knew about it, and they knew I had a baby. I had a son who was almost about 2 years. So I got married to this man, definitely, and we went to his home to celebrate our marriage. It was at home, it was culture, and people came and celebrated with us, with the family. It was all fine. As we started our journey of our marriage, it was all good. He really wanted, I don't know whether he wanted it to work, or he was just a playboy. I don't know. But this is what happened later on. So finally, we got married, and I was pregnant, and I had my first child, a baby, a girl. So when I had my child, everything went on fine. He would come home, we would go places, we would leave our child with my mother-in-law sometimes, and we would go out and have fun, like any other young couple. This is what we used to do. So we used to go and have this fun with him. We would go out and have some fun outside, and then come home. But something happened. A few months later, when this child was about 6 months, we went to where he was supposed to relieve some workers, because he used to work for his uncles who had businesses. So we went there for that occasion. So we were there for a few weeks or so. It was just Christmas time. So we went to relieve these people who were working in those areas. So me and him, we went there. And one morning, they said there was a lady who came in. The lady was pregnant, was heavily pregnant, about 6 months. And the lady came in, and I could see they were interacting with my husband then. And I didn't suspect him of anything, because I just thought it was okay. It was all, she was a customer. But no, it happened that this woman was his girlfriend. And as I started looking at it, I didn't mind her, but then she came in to start fighting with me, telling me a lot of things. One thing is for sure, I've never been a fighter since I grew up. I never fought with anyone. But on this day, I lost it. I came out from the counter where I was serving customers, and I charged on her, and I pushed her out. I beat her up, and she fell, and she had a broken hand. Moreover, she was pregnant. And this was time when it was colonial rule, and people were in keeps where they used to be kept, and then in the evening, everyone is going to be in the keep, you know. And so she couldn't be taken to the hospital because she had to wait until the following morning. So she cried the whole night. And the following morning, she was taken into hospital, and she was they put a plaster on her. And from that day, she told me my life was never going to be the same, and she was going to get married to my husband then. And I thought this was it. I couldn't help it because this is what I had done, and there was nothing I could do about it. So finally, yes, we went through it. I went back home, and things started crumbling. He never wanted to come home. He had nothing to do with me, but I still kept hoping that one day my marriage was going to work. And then I had my second pregnancy. And we were in town. We were living in another suburb. And one evening, he was not coming home, but then I was pregnant. He would come in and go and come out in 3, 4, 5 days. He doesn't turn up. But when he comes home, he's my husband, isn't it? So one morning he came up. I was almost giving birth. And in the morning, I had my waters broken. And as I woke up and we rushed to the bathroom to check if everything was okay, I was in labor. My husband just got up, got dressed, and he left. He left me with a child, the elder daughter, who was almost 2 years. So my neighbor had to look for transport for me, and to take care of my baby then, as I went into hospital to give birth. And my husband wasn't there. He never even bothered to come back. For 3 days, I stayed in the hospital. He never brought me food. So the other mothers who gave birth in the hospital, they are the ones who actually fed me until the third day that I was released from the hospital with a baby. In my arms, I had to walk a journey of about 2 miles there, because at that time there were no buses in that area. It's either he had your own car. So he was not there to come and pick me from the hospital. Neither was he there when I gave birth. So I met some children from school who helped me to carry the bag, and one of the girls who was a bit older took the baby in her arms, and we walked home until they left me at home with the baby. And there was no one still. My husband never turned back, even to check on the child that I had left with my neighbor. How painful it was. But anyway, it was okay. So I went through it. I got my child back, and we just went on with life. But my husband never turned back to see how we were doing with the child. Finally, he just came one day and he says, "Oh, can I take you to show the baby to your parents? I think they would want to see." This was a baby, a boy this time. So he took me to my parents, and me thinking, but why am I going to my parents? I need to take care of what is going on, because the baby was still very, very young to travel. But he pushed it. Only did I know that he really had an agenda on it, to say he didn't want me anymore, but he didn't know how to say he doesn't want me. He didn't want to be the first person to go to court and say he doesn't like me anymore, or he was going to divorce me. So he kept in the bushes to say everything was okay. But meanwhile, he had this affair with this other woman who was also expecting another child for the second time. So I had no choice, but I kept fighting for this marriage, thinking things would work out. And finally, they didn't work out. I had another child again, a third child with him. But it was this thing, like I was now the girlfriend, because he was staying more with the girlfriend while I was staying on my own with children. So it went on for a long time. And when I fell pregnant for the third time, this time I thought, well, maybe things will change. But they never changed, even with the third child. He even didn't want to know whether I was going to give birth, whether I had preparations for the baby. I got to a point where I gave birth. I had no preparation. I had nothing to cover the baby with. And I had to borrow clothes from other people to wrap my baby. And when he came, he said, "Oh, this child he doesn't look like me." Meanwhile, that child is a splitting image of my husband. Meanwhile, she was a girl. She's a girl. But the things never changed. We kept going on and we're going backwards. Meanwhile, he was preparing to stay with his mistress. And finally, as I was pregnant with the third child, they went into church and they got married. They got married, and I was there with my child, with my two children, only to be told that he was married on one Sunday evening. Someone who came from the wedding comes and says, "Oh, by the way, do you know that your Romeo got married today? He got married in church." I was really hurt, but there was nothing I could do. I couldn't fight this anymore. I was tired. Now, what do I have to teach other women about such men? The one thing that I know is marriage. Of course, we would read in the Bible. They say marriage is supposed to be between people who love each other, and people as women we should be married, and we should. That's when how we get our respect. That's how we get our dignity. But I'm here to say I don't think this is correct. Because honestly, of course, yes, I would have loved to stay with my husband, of course. I would have loved to keep my children with him, but this didn't work out. And I noticed that each time I tried to work hard, the obstacles kept on coming and kept on coming. So I got to a point where I told myself I had enough, I was leaving. So I had to leave. So whatever it is, I appreciate that of course, that it was a learning curve that I went through. I managed to pass through it, and now I'm here to tell other women that if you see these red flags, leave before it's too late, because I nearly died in this marriage. I suffered through and through in this marriage. He didn't even look after the children after all. And he got married while I was still in the house, still being a missus in the house. He actually went on and got married to another wife. So, husbands, as they are, of course, we really would appreciate to have a husband. I really appreciated, I really wanted to have one, but it never worked. It was all up and down. That was my life. And I am here to share with other people so they can learn that such things happen. And when they happen, leave. You are much better off living.